Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lisa and this is Return to Love. So today I'll be starting a very special series on temperance. I've been reading this book by author Ellen G. White, and this book is totally eye-opening and is a key to one of the things that will help me in my future journey to return to love, to self-care, and all these things. So if you're interested, please keep on watching. I will be looking down from time to time, checking my notes. I have my laptop here with me to check my notes, and it's just too much information, but I'm really excited to share this with you. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. So I just kind of want to give a backstory as to why I started this series. So for those of you who might have been following me for a little bit, you know that my channel is about, health, self-care, postpartum depression, motherhood, and all these things. And so lately I've been more candid about my struggle in motherhood and in raising my kids now. And so I have been kind of trying to talk about that. So I was actually going to start a series on, parenting and parenting styles and gentle parenting the godly way. But as God was speaking to me as I was praying and reaching out to God, He had convicted me that it was really the work needed to be done in me first. And that there was a lot that was, amiss with me, and that I was kind of the problem in the parent-child relationship as to why I was having such constant, battles back and forth. And so God showed me that there was a lot that I had to work on. And I tried to start this, I tried to start that. I've been obese ever since I've had my kids, and I've tried everything from keto, everything, guys. Alternate day fasting. I'm not saying that these things didn't work, but I've tried everything and I have not been consistent in anything. And so I started to really cry out to God, because as a Christian, I believe what the scripture said in, so whatever you do, whether you eat, drink, or whatever you do it all to the glory of God. And I became more and more convicted as time passes, as years went on. It's been like almost 6 years since I've not been my healthiest and not in good shape and all of that. And it's affected everything from my mental health, my confidence, even my walk with God, my work, anything, just my daily life, my parenting, all of it. And so I realized that this thing was affecting every part of my life. And so I asked God, what is it that I need to change? Because I have never been consistent with any diet I've tried. I've never, been consistent with working out. I've done it for a couple of weeks, sometimes even a couple of months, and then just fall off the wagon. And God opened my eyes and He led me to this book, Temperance. And this is the root or the key to your success. So, intemperance, I would say, is the root of all evil, and temperance will be the key to your success. Intemperance is the root of all evil. It ain't money. And intem- intemperance, I would say, is the root of all evil in my life. And temperance will be the key to my success. So if you're interested, keep on watching. So I just want to start with some points talking about how God actually made us and His ideal for us. So the first point that the book makes is that man was created in perfect and beautiful form. So when God made us, He made us perfect, okay? He made us in His image. He made us to be beautiful. He made us to be healthy. Can you imagine that if you had a chance on how your kid is going to come, the one you create and that kind of thing? Can you imagine not going for the utmost perfection? Any and every parent would do that. We would choose the most perfect body, the most perfect intellect, the most perfect health, everything that is perfect. We would try to give so that this child can be their healthiest and their most optimal form, right? But optimal form, that it could be in their most optimal form and perform the best that they can. And so God, who is our Father, also had the same ideal when He created us. He made us perfect. Matthew 5 verse 8 says, so be there perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect. And then Psalm 139 verses 14 says, I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. We were fearfully and wonderfully made. God created us with a very high standard and ideal for what He wanted for us. So, what really went wrong? Let's keep reading. The second point the book made about God's ideal for us is God that man is a crown of God's creation. So if you know creation story, he created us on the last day of his creating. So on the sixth day, he created us after he had made sure that everything we needed, from fresh air to the flowers, to the animals, the fruits, everything, the water, the sun, everything was there. He made the whole earth ready before he made us. And he made us crown of his creation. The scripture says we were made a little lower than the angels. That is pretty perfect. I mean, it would be nice to be an angel, but he made us just a little bit lower than the angels. And his ideal for us was that we would be perfect and that we would be healthy and in good form. It also says that God has given us a powerful mind and a body ear to know disease. So it was never his ideal that we would be sick or that things would be wrong with us. That's all due to sin. But that was not God's plan for us. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of a sound mind. This is what God has given to us. He hasn't given us a spirit of fear nor of, disease or anything like that. Another point the book made was God promises to keep us healthy if we follow his instructions and do what he says. So, just like when you buy a Tesla, you need to read the manual and make sure that you're doing it right. You can't put water instead of oil. You can't, I don't even know if a Tesla uses oil, okay? Just bear with me here. But you can't put things into a machine or into an item that was not built for it. And the same way, God knows what we needed. And as our creator, he has these ideals, or he has a standard as to what we should be putting in our body and the things that will make us healthy or the things that will completely destroy us. Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." All these things, health, all these things. And so God keeps showing us that his plan for us is to prosper us and not to harm us, to give us hope and a bright future. So again, the question begs, why is life this way? Why are we struggling so much with obesity and, just not being our healthiest self? So I've actually heard people complain and say, well, God gave us, God made all these things, everything is good for me to eat, and why would he give me this appetite if he wouldn't want me to use it? Well, the book makes a very interesting point and says, yes, God gave us an appetite, but he had a purpose. He wanted the appetite to be a source of happiness to us, not of destruction. Let that sink in, okay? When we eat things that are very unhealthy or do things that are very harmful to our body, we're actually not adding to our happiness. Only on the tongue. The cheesecake only tastes good as you bite it, but after that is destruction to your body because of all the different things in it that are just not good for us. And so God actually intended for our appetite to be a source of happiness and to glorify him even in our appetite. And so when we eat, whether we eat, drink, or whatever we do, we should all do it to the glory of God. And that is how he created us. He created us to be happy. He would not, just like us as a parent, we would not create something, or if we had the chance to form our own child and make their characteristics, we would never give them something that would be harmful to them or something that would be like a stumbling block. So God didn't give us the appetite to like trick us or to have it like this war or a battle or be a stumbling block to us, but God gave it to us so that we could be happy and that we can enjoy good things and enjoy good health. But sin came in the way, and so we are now struggling. So let's look at why we're struggling and who or what is the source of this struggle. So today we're going to be focusing a little bit on food, but temperance and intemperance can be in many different forms and shapes in our life. But where does it come from? It comes from the devil. It comes from the enemy. The enemy has seen and devised a plan and realized that once we are intemperate, it just destroys every other area of our life. We lack self control. We lack all these things that we actually need to be disciplined and to actually fulfill the purpose of God in our lives. So, what God actually intended for our good, the enemy tries to create it in such a way that it is evil. So, food that should be good to us is created and used in such a way and taken into our bodies in such an intemperate fashion that is no longer healthy for us but actually destroying us. It's like poison, it's harmful to us. Satan has completely, if you look at the statistics, if you look at how many diseases are a direct result of, a bad of intemperance, if you look at how many diseases are a direct result of intemperate behaviors within the eating and the drinking of people, you would see that Satan completely succeeded in turning that what God had made for good completely to evil for us, and that he has used this method to turn us away from God, because as we are more and more intemperate, more and more obese, we become lethargic, we become all the things that hinder us and block us from actually being able to connect with God, and he is the source of our strength. So if we're not connecting with him, you understand that we're starting to fall off, fall behind, and we're just not in a good place. So the secret to the enemy's strategy is simple. Any kind of form of intemperance starts to numb you down. You start to think it's normal. So when you were just eating one burger and you start getting used to eating 5 and 10 burgers in a week, you start to think it's normal, and the things of eternity start to become more blurry and blurry to you. The things of God, of the kingdom, that should be of importance to you, he completely numbs down your perceptive organs. Intemperance is done and has an effect of such magnitude that it literally starts to affect your ability to reason and to see clearly, literally to see clearly what is right and what is wrong. Our mind and our brain is the organ that is used to communicate to the rest of the body. And so, if intemperance directly influences our perceptive organs, we now have a lesser chance to, like I said before, hear from God and completely, in a neutral way, perceive what He is trying to tell us. Satan's powerful tool that he uses against God's people and he uses against us today is that of intemperance. Satan's strongest hold on mankind is through the appetite, and he seeks to stimulate it in every possible way. So if you're just driving around, every billboard, many of the billboards around, are either stimulating you to be intemperate in drinking, intemperate in immorality, in sexual immorality. You get lustful because of the things you're seeing on billboards. You want the food you're seeing on the billboards. Once you open your social media, you have mukbangs and all these things that, like, even last night, I wasn't even feeling to eat a ramen, okay? I just opened the TikTok and they were eating a ramen so juicy. It was way after the time that I should have been eating, but I needed to have it. And I got up and I made a ramen and I ate it. And after that, I felt guilty. I felt terrible. I felt like you watched a video and suddenly you lacked self-restraint, you lacked self-control. You couldn't say, no, this is not a time for ramen, I'm not going to eat it right now. The temptation came, I saw it, it looked so good, and I was like, I need to have that. Sounds like somebody I know. Like, we blame Eve a lot, but we really be doing the same in certain areas of our life. We really do lack self-control. When something looks appealing, we want to have it right now. We want to gratify our flesh right away. We don't practice self-denial many times, and in many areas of our life we really don't practice self-denial, and so we're constantly putting ourselves in a position where we just feel guilt and shame, and even that is not something that God had intended for us. Now, some of you listening might be saying, why does the devil think he can come for us? We're protected by God. His confidence comes from his previous successes, okay? The first temptation that he ever brought to mankind was through the appetite. Adam and Eve, the first sin, the first thing that brought us all into this mess was done and succeeded through intemperance and through the appetite. And so when he tempted them and they bit and they fell for the temptation and all sin came into the world, he was like, yeah, I got this. I can do this again. They were perfect. They were so close to God. They saw God face to face. If I could get them, I'll get all the others. And he has succeeded to a large extent to get us time and time again to fall for the temptation of being intemperate and eating the wrong things or overeating and overindulging in things, even the things that some of which could be healthy, but overindulging in them. We might not realize how much of a serious issue this is, but as the book describes, many who could have lived longer, many laid down their lives prematurely just because of lack of self control, just because of intemperance, just because they didn't know how to say no whenever something was offered to them or after they saw something that they needed to have, even though they knew that that was not something that their body would need or something that was healthy for them. We were born our gifted bodies. God's ideal was to have us so healthy, but Satan's tactic has made us weak and feeble human beings. So, as a Christian, why should you care? Why should this matter to you? Now, listen to me. When your body is sickened, when your body is weakened, when your body is kind of ruined, when the sensibilities of your mind are numbed down because of the sugar intake and all these things that you're using that are just not healthy to your body, you start to have the effects that, like we spoke about earlier, you're blurrier, you're less inclined to understand truth from evil. You're less inclined to want to honor God with the things you do. You're less inclined to be able to say no to other temptations that will come your way because we have never learned to actually control the temptation of our appetite and to be temperate in all things. A diseased body also affects the brain, and as such, we cannot give the glory and honor to God that is due unto his matchless name. And this is a strategy of the enemy. I've experienced it firsthand. As I became increasingly unhealthy, I became increasingly inactive in my church and the service to mankind. I was incapable of dealing with other people. I know God has called me, like he has called all of his people, to be of service to mankind, to love our neighbors as ourselves, to treat others kindly, to see the things that others need, and to try and meet their needs. Because I was so overwhelmed, and because I was so in need, and because I was so uncontrolled in my appetite, and that I was so unhealthy, I could not do that which he had commanded me to do. I could not fulfill my purpose. I could not be the mom or wife that he had called me to be. I could just not, because I wanted to sleep the day away. I wanted to cry the day away. I felt so tired, exhausted. Even like, listen to me, even doing this video, look at me, okay? I'm exhausted. I feel exhausted. I've been on this health journey for a while now, and I've seriously been picking it up again. And God has called me to be a beacon of light, and I want to be that light. But he cannot shine through me if I am dirty, if I am filled with things that just do not glorify him, if my life or my body and my health literally doesn't reflect who God is. And so there are a lot of things that maybe do not directly fall into this category. So please don't be offended if you're suffering from something that it's just the way it is, or you were born that way. But I'm just talking about some of the choices that we make who were put in a position to be as healthy as possible, and we have misused that privilege and done all the things that were just brought harm and shame to our bodies and decay. Now, I started to share it. When I started reading this book, I knew I had to share it. I felt really uncomfortable sharing it because I haven't been living this, Okay, so I was like, God, I'm not the one to give this message. I'm not the one to talk about this. My YouTube isn't even about this. Yeah, kind of. I mean, if you talk about weight loss, sure. But I was like, I am not the girl. I'm not the woman for this job, okay? But I'm here to tell you that God will call you to do things that you might not think are your job. But if He calls you, you must answer. And so, as His child, I have wanted to say yes to His calling. And today I'm saying yes. So I'm making this video to let you know many of us have given control to the enemy unknowingly. Many of us are so unaware how our appetites and our lack of self-control are a direct result of our intemperance. Many of us are wondering why we're just going on these yo-yo diets and why we're doing all the things that are just not benefiting us, even though we really want to lose weight, even though we're really sincere in, trying to live healthier, even though we're really trying to do all the things to be healthier, we just keep falling off the wagon. Many of us are not understanding why this is even happening. I am here to tell you it's because we have given control to the enemy and we need to take it back. God has created us, and God is the one who knows best what we need. And so, as we're going to be studying this book from a Christian author and using the Bible as a reference, we will be looking into the ways that God actually wants us to reclaim back our health, reclaim back our life, reclaim back the body He has given us. Our body and our health is one of God's greatest gifts to us. We shouldn't misuse it, okay? God has created us, and we should present to Him a living, a holy, and an acceptable sacrifice unto Him. It is not okay for us to destroy, even slowly, that which He has given us. It is so easy to look at some of the people who are doing things that we can clearly see are wrong and destroying them and being like, hey, they're doing that so wrong, they're going to get destroyed. And we're not looking at the fact that God has given us a body and we oftentimes don't take the best care of it. And so I just want to read this book with you guys. I'm just taking out some of the nuggets. It's a really in-depth book. If you guys want to read along with me, this is the first chapter, the first and second chapter recap. If you guys want to just read along with me, it's Temperance from Ellen G. White, and we're going to be studying this book, and we're just going to be looking at how we can serve and honor God better, and in turn have a healthier, happier life ourselves. Okay, I was really sick and tired of looking in the mirror and not liking what I see, or having to constantly say, oh, this year I'm going to finally lose 70 pounds or 80 pounds or 90 pounds at this point. But I know that my lack of self-control is something that I have wrongly practiced for years. And God is now calling me back and giving me all the tools through this book and through His word as to how I can go about it. And if you're in the same boat, if you are also struggling with your weight, struggling with your health, struggling how intemperance is causing many of the other areas of your life to fall apart, just like mine, I'm inviting you to follow along with this series. I'm going to be talking about how intemperance has a direct relation to lack of self-control, lack of discipline, and in turn controlled my finances, my marriage, my parenting, every area of my life, my spiritual walk with God, my ability to work, all of it. And so I'm inviting you to also join me, and I really hope that this series will be a blessing to you. As I always say, return to love. As I always say, return to love, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It really means the world to me. And share this video with other people who you think might benefit from it. Okay, thank you. See you in my next video. Bye.